Hello, this is Dr. Ayleen with, oh, that was kind of cool. This is Dr. Ayleen, and today is the day for our medicine walk. And I really want to say, first off, how much I'm enjoying this. And I've had an opportunity to connect with different folks and talk to them about the types of things that, are going on in the world and ways to find balance with them. And that really is special to me. So if you would like to, if you have a question or something that you want to ask or a topic that you would like me to cover, then please let me know. So today is fight, flight, freeze, or free. And one of the things that we as a creature have that serves us very well is our instinct for survival. And a part of that is our adrenal response. And I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of heavy doctor stuff, but the idea that our system has something built in that when we need to call upon more strength, more speed, or just the ability to sustain something, our adrenal system kicks in. And it's sort of like when you have, one of those near misses in the car and, you're driving along and then you look up and suddenly you got to slam on your brakes, or suddenly something goes right by you. And you have that weird little sensation where suddenly your heart is beating a little bit faster and you feel a little bit lightheaded. Well, that's a part of our adrenal response. It protects us by saying, okay, for the next little bit of time, your muscles need to be more responsive, your vision needs to be more acute, your heart rate needs to elevate a little bit because we've got to pump oxygen to those muscles because we have a higher demand. Now, as a part of that adrenal response, there are different things that can come in. One is the response to stress, and especially sudden stress. But it's not exclusively sudden stress, and we're gonna go into that in a minute. The common phrase used to be fight or flight, and that basically meant that your instinct was to either go after whatever it is that's creating the stress that's making you feel unsafe, or to get the heck of away from it as fast as you can. Now, recently they've gone into the idea that there is another response, and that's called freeze. That's when we're immobile, when we can't respond, when it's just like that they call it the deer in the headlights scenario, where you really are frozen. And while none of those are necessarily bad, there is no good or bad to them. They're simply autonomic responses. The question becomes, what gives you the result that you want? What allows you to go into a place of when you're feeling not safe to shifting to a place where you feel safe? Now, it's not just about an immediate physical danger. Often we encounter things that create an emotional stress, things that will trigger us into fear, things that will make us feel not safe. And that will also create that same response of either fight, flight, or freeze. What I'm going to talk about today and what I offer to you to consider is that there is another option. It's being free. When something happens, yes, there is an immediate response. That immediate response could be anger. That immediate response could be, fear. It could be withdrawal. And that is really dependent a lot on what your personal history is. How did you get out of trouble before? Often people who grew up in situations where there is a lot of tension and very intense type of loud talking and really kind of a volatile environment, they may learn, okay, when I don't feel safe, I become more aggressive. I become stronger. I make myself bigger. And that is a way to handle it, because then you sometimes feel safer when people think, oh, well, I'm not going to mess with this person. And that can work. And there are times when that's really appropriate. Some people respond that they withdraw, they pull back. They say, if I can get myself small enough and tiny enough, no one will notice me to hurt me. And maybe that has worked. In a lot of cases, that is a good way. It's sort of in the animal kingdom. It's like camouflage. You become the chameleon. You just blend into the background and nobody notices you. And that's another way to be safe. Freezing is an instinct that we often see among prey animals, where if a rabbit may see the shadow of a hawk going over, they're going to stop moving, because they will know instinctively that a predator looks for movement. They will focus more on that. So if they freeze, if they stay perfectly still, which is very much like that deer in the headlights thing that we were talking about, where if something overwhelms the senses, stay still, stay quiet, and you may be able to just be missed or overlooked. But the thing is that when those reactions go past that first moment and become like a snowball rolling down a hill, it just keeps getting bigger. The fight instinct becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, until really all you have left, you don't have conscious thought left. What you have is a reaction. Those who go for flight, they just run. They don't have a plan. It's just, I want out of here now. So again, reaction. Freeze. If I don't move, then maybe I won't get hurt. And often that's not the case. It just creates more of a feeling of helplessness. If you choose not to react, that's choice. But if it's thrust upon you, if it's something that you don't decide, then that also does not lead you to safety. It's also a reaction. I like adding free, because when that triggering action comes up, when immediately, okay, I've got a choice to make here. What do I choose? What do I need to do to take care of me? That moves it into a place of choice. Freedom means that you get to choose. Freedom means that you are not reacting, but choosing action. And there's a lot of times in our life when that's really hard, when it feels like we don't have choice, when it feels like we simply have to accept what's going on. And that is sort of true. Sometimes you cannot change what's happening around you, and you can decide how you want to respond to it. If an initial reaction is, whoa, I'm getting out of here, and then you stop, wait a minute, do I really want to get out of here? And if so, where am I going? What am I doing? Yes, if you reach over and you're cooking and your hand touches something hot, the immediate reaction is to bring your hand back. And that's perfectly, that is a very positive form of flight. It's very localized. All it is touch, oh, that's hot. You don't even know how hot. You just trigger, your body triggers, hey, that's higher temperature than the air around it, so I need to step back. That doesn't mean you have to bolt out of the kitchen. It just means that you have an immediate reaction to pull back, and now you need to gather evidence. Now it's like, okay, what is the situation here? Was it just that I didn't have the pot holder right on the handle and I touched it and it got warm? Or, what's going on? Is something on fire? We assess. Oh, did that hurt my hand? Because often we'll look at it, it's like, wow, that it was warm, but no, I don't see anything on it and it feels fine. And then we move on. That's when we take instinct and allow it to protect us for a moment, And then we bring in choice. And right now, a lot of people are not feeling safe. They're not feeling like they have choice. And no matter what your views are, no matter whether conservative or liberal, no matter what it is, first off, you have every right to feel the way you do. And it isn't required that I agree with you for you to have the right to say what it is that is your truth. Because one of the first steps to moving past fight, flight, or freeze into freedom is that you have the right to be yourself. That it's safe for you to say, you know what, I believe, and follow it with whatever you want. And to have that accepted, even if it's not agreed with. Somebody may say, well, I hear what you're saying, but it really doesn't resonate with me. And I don't really agree with that. And my mom used to say, if it works for you, I love it for you. It doesn't mean it has to work for me. And the idea that we can create an environment where we have the opportunity to say, you know what? I don't necessarily agree with you, and I appreciate you telling me how you feel. And that can be really, really cool. And it can be really, really positive. And it can help people move past defensiveness. Because what happens when we don't feel safe? We get defensive. We dig in more. And that is also a form of fight, flight, or freeze. And that is also reaction. If something's going on that you disagree with, then there are actions you can take to support that. You don't have to take somebody else down in order to raise yourself up. You don't have to say that, well, I'm going to talk to this person until they change their mind. That is a waste of oxygen, because the more you talk at someone about why they're wrong, the less safe they feel. I know for me, that's the case. If somebody is just kind of coming at me and telling me what they feel with an intense need for me to agree with them, then that's not a communication. That's not an open discussion. That's not me feeling respected. And I find that the people who do that have a tendency not to feel very safe in themselves, because maybe in order for them to feel that they're right, they need other people to agree with them. So the choice is either just go find a group of people who agree with you, or try to change someone's mind. And I don't think really either one is productive, because if you just go and hang around with people who always feel the way you do, there's no growth. There's no opportunity to learn. There's no opportunity to be able to have differing viewpoints and seeing the little subtle nuances of a discussion or a topic. And if you spend all of your time trying to change people's minds, especially when you're talking at them and not with them, all they're going to do is they're going to resist. They're going to just pull back and say, you know what, I don't want to talk to you because, you're not respecting me, and I'm going to dig in that much more. When we feel safe, it really doesn't matter what somebody else feels or what somebody else thinks, because somebody can tell you the most outrageous opinion and you can just go, okay, that's fine. That's interesting. I'm going to go over there, and you have a great day. When that can be the response, then one, it takes all the energy out of what could become a confrontation. And yes, there are times when a confrontation is a good thing. There are times when it may be needed to just go head to head, but it's not every time. And just because someone feels something doesn't mean that there's no value in what they feel, because they've got a reason for feeling it. And when you can look past what someone feels about a particular topic and say, you know what, they feel this way about something, and They're also my best fishing buddy. I may not agree with their views on this particular topic, but we absolutely love the same movies. We are more than our opinions. We are more than our viewpoints. We are divine beings having a human experience. And a part of that human experience is figuring out interaction, figuring out communication. And if somebody is in a car accident and somebody else runs up to help, I don't think anybody's asking what their political viewpoint is. It's about one person wanting to help another. And that's really neat. And that's why I believe in the best in humanity, because I know that when we're not thinking, when we're not in fight, flight, or freeze, that we're out there doing good stuff. We're helping one another. If somebody's in need, we help them. If somebody, it could be as simple as you see somebody who's short, which, I'm pretty short. When you see somebody trying to reach up on a high shelf in a grocery store and somebody else will come up and reach up and get something down for them. As a person who is short, I appreciate that. They don't know me. They don't know whether or not I agree with them. What they do know is I'm trying to reach the mushrooms on the top shelf. And without me having to ask, they're there for me. And they hand me the mushrooms and I say thank you and they say you're welcome. You have a good day. And they go off and they feel better. And I certainly feel better. That's humanity. And I don't care what anybody says. That is at the heart of who and what we are. We are better than any political topic. We are better than any conflict. We are better than anything that can come down that wants to take away our sense of family, because we are a family. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't agree with you. Pretty much once the election passes, there will be discussions, there will be debates, and ultimately everybody will calm down, and maybe there'll be a few awkward Thanksgiving dinners where at the beginning, all right, everybody, we agree not to talk politics, pass the stuffing. And then you talk about football. So we always move through. But there's nothing that's better than our ability to love one another. There is nothing that is more powerful than that. And if we can keep that thought in our minds that, you know what, this is a person who I simply disagree with. It doesn't have to be any more significant than that. And if everybody gets a chance to be authentic, if everybody gets a chance to say how they feel in a safe place where nobody's going to try to make them wrong, then we can really have some very wonderful discussions together. We can learn about different viewpoints on something. There's an old story about a king who wanted to find the wisest man in the kingdom to be his advisor. And he brought in a group of wise men and he blindfolded them all. Now, none had ever seen an elephant, so he brought in an elephant and he placed each wise man up against a different part. One he put by the trunk, another one he put by the tail, one he put by the side, one he put by the leg, and one he put by the ear. And so each of the wise men were told to reach out, touch it, and after that, they were to draw a picture of an elephant. So they each did, and they were taken out and they each drew a picture of what an elephant looks like without seeing the whole thing. So when they came before the king, one stepped up, the one who was by the trunk stepped up and said, well, an elephant is like a snake. And he had drawn a picture of a snake. And that it swivels around and it's sinewy, but very, very strong. Well, the second wise man looked at him as if he were insane. He was the one who was placed at the tail. And he said, absolutely not. Yes, it's you're almost right, But an elephant is shaped like a rope. It doesn't move a whole lot, but it's very strong. And so the next one, who had been placed at the side, said, "You're both wrong. An elephant is shaped like a wall with a slight curve on it." The next one, who was by the leg, said, "No, an elephant is shaped like a tree. It's round and it's thick." And so he had drawn a tree. Then the one by the ears said, "No, an elephant is shaped like a fan." And he said, it is floppy and it is loose. You are all insane." And so they went into a huge discussion about what the elephant was, and a very heated argument, because each was convinced that they were right. From their perspective, they were, yet they didn't have the full picture. So a gardener came up, and he was looking at all the pictures that had been tossed to the ground because they were so busy arguing. And he took all of the pictures and he kind of put them together. And he said, "Well, I believe that they're all right. And an elephant, I believe, looks like this." The king looked, smiled, and made the gardener his advisor, because it was the gardener who was able to see past the conception that each one individually held to look for the big picture. We're in a time where we need to look at the big picture. We need to look beyond the boundaries of what we think we perceive and allow that there are much more broader perceptions that are available. What we perceive as right may be right, but is it all of the truth? And the truth is where we grow, when we are in our truth. And when we allow that our truth may not be someone else's truth, but that's okay. So, how do we manage in a life and in a world where it's very easy to get locked into one perception? Think freedom. Don't be attached to what you know or believe. It could be perfect for you. You can embrace it, but don't attach to it to the point that you rule out everything else, because it's a really big world. And the internet and all of the new technology has made that world a much more accessible and smaller place. It is important to remember that maybe the trunk and the tail of an elephant can be a part of the same thing. They don't have to be exclusive. And by remembering that there are always perceptions that we don't know about, that we haven't experienced, and with dialogue and with talking with people and listening to them, we can learn about the other parts of the elephant. We can learn about what lies beyond what we can see, what we can perceive. And what that does is it gives us a much more holistic viewpoint. Body, mind, and spirit, all three are involved when something happens. Our body is going to release an adrenal reaction. The mind can take control of choice. And the spirit can guide us to allow us to see that everything is possible. That two people who have violently opposing viewpoints can still both be right and still both be respected and agree that, well, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. We don't have to be defensive. We don't have to protect what's ours, because understand, your views are your views. You don't need to defend them in order for them to be valid for you. If someone tries to take that away from you, don't let them. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to lash out. There's more than enough of that in the world right now. but I still don't think it outnumbers the number of people who sit nicely together and enjoy a board game or enjoy a TV show or a funny movie. That is always the reality. That is in the majority. It's not very newsworthy, a group of people sitting around not arguing. That's not very entertaining. Well, to me it is. I love watching a group of people laugh together. If you put children from all over the world together playing a game, it doesn't matter that they don't speak the same language. They all will laugh and enjoy themselves and like hugs and enjoy playing on a swing. We can be like that. We can accept each other. We can play nice. And we can feel safe. It's up to you. Fight, flight, freeze, or freedom. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I will be back next week, and I will be we'll be announcing the date for the audiobook for my book Frequencies. You can get more information from my Facebook site at Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen. So just search that. You can follow me on Twitter. You can join the Medicine Walk Facebook page, and you'll get updates on what's going on. And you can like, comment, and I love comments. You can like, comment this video, subscribe to the video page, and you can also, let's see, like, follow, subscribe, and share. That's right. Sharing is cool. Sharing is wonderful. And I really want to thank you for joining me today. And if something comes up, if a conflict comes up, think, feel. Don't come from fear. Understand fear is a chemical reaction. Our mind can override that, and our spirit can make it safe. You can do this. I know you can. And as you do it, you're going to teach others how to do it too. We're all in this together. And the most important thing is to remember how precious you are. I believe in you. Whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter to me. Just know that I do. So until next time, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours.